What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today we're going to talk about Stolen Kingdom. This is a documentary that's releasing this year that I paid special attention to because, well, I'm a member of Critics Association of Central Florida, and I live in Orlando, and this movie's basically entirely about Disney. It's also kind of about the art of urban exploring, which, if you have YouTube, you probably have looked up and seen people go into places that they shouldn't be going into. It is kind of fascinating. And even before I lost my sight, I used to just sit and watch people do stuff like that because it was kind of cool to watch people go into places and see, especially if you had been there before, and see like what was and what it is now, like how something had been sort of left to just sort of dilapidate all on itself. But within theme parks, a lot of times Disney and Universal, they weren't immediately taking down rides. As somebody, again, I live in Orlando, who would go to the parks. First of all, I've been to the parks a bunch of times. I've worked for Disney in the mid 2000s, and I used to work in Fort Wilderness, and I would walk past River Country, which was closed all the time, and it was right there. Like you could see it had like a barrier around it, but I mean you could see through like the cracks and stuff and see into River Country and see that it was still there, and it looked like a place that you would go if you wanted to catch polio, like just by contact, just by like by being too close to something and not even in the water. It was really gross. I don't know why anybody would want to go in there. So, but it was cool to see that they still had a lot of the uh, like pool areas and stuff to go and slides, and some of the structure is still there. Plus, I also did cruises for the wealthy people who wanted to watch the fireworks by floating on a boat out in Bay Lake. They would pay for these cruises, and we used to drive them past Discovery Island, which is another place that I know people have really tried to get on. It smells terrible. Back then, I don't even know what it smells like now. I think they tried for a while there to rehabilitate it and sort of bring it back. But you used to be able to, if you rode your boat past Discovery Island, because it's basically just like 1,000 birds living there just shitting all the time. And it used to smell terrible, just awful. Um, there's also like a tree full of like shoes that's out there. Or I don't know if these are all like mid 2000s things. You either get the references or you don't. I don't know if they're all still there. But so I'm familiar with some of these areas. And then also having gone to Universal for the longest time, if you're in Islands of Adventure, Universal did a really bad job of blocking off the Triceratops, the encounter where you could go back and see that. I mean, like, literally, there's like a little fence. You do have to like hop a fence, but there's also obviously a path there. And there was for so many years. And I was like, you guys are, you didn't even try. Like, you didn't even put a bush here, like nothing. There's nothing here to kind of like hide the fact that there, it looks like a ride is temporarily closed and you just put a gate in front of it. So, I was thinking of how many times I really always wanted to try, but I never wanted to get banned from the park. That was always the thing that stopped me. Is I was like, I don't know, it's not worth it. I'll just watch videos of other people doing it who are willing to get banned from parks. So, Stolen Kingdom sort of capitalizes on that and interviews these people. It's amazing what they're willing to talk about on camera for, like, we broke these laws. This is what we did. I went into here. I got these things. I took these things. And I'm like, you guys, there was one point where somebody's like, they're never going to find out about it. I'm like, you're in a documentary. You know that, right? Like, this isn't like a hidden camera thing. Like, you know that you're being filmed, so obviously people are gonna find out. I know this is like a really hard concept for YouTubers. Like I just told you a whole bunch of things about myself, but they're none of them are like I did illegal shit. They're all like, well, I was working here and I walked past these things that are part of these urban explorer, dreams of people trying to get into these couple places. And then also clearly, obviously, there was one that was really, you could see the path to where it was going. And I was like, no wonder so many people jump back there and run back there and see the Triceratops that they didn't even bother to remove. So, uh, yeah, this, and it goes into the mystery of it because eventually, There was a Wonders of Life Pavilion, which I think I'm saying that right. I think it was the Wonders of Life Pavilion that had, and I remember, I think I remember that. I remember Cranium Command. I don't remember that was my favorite thing in there. I think that was also where we had Body Wars, and there was an attraction there, I think, with the food, and they were in a fridge and they'd sing to you. There was a sort of in the middle, there was like a superhero show where they took volunteers, and I did that as a kid. I kind of remember that pavilion a little bit, just off the top of my head. I don't. The thing is, I have all of these photos and stuff from like photo albums and from being a kid and having parents who take tons of photos of you when you're at things. So I could revisit all this stuff, but I can't because I can't see. So until my bionic eyes come through and I can get my cyborg eyes, I just have photos that I don't know, one day maybe or maybe not. So I'm going purely based off of memory on things like that. But yeah, I kind of remember Cranium Command. I kind of remember what it looked like. I kind of remember doing it. I would say Body Wars was more memorable to me as an attraction. And I think it was to a lot of people. I think that was the one that when it closed, people were like, "Oh, damn, Body Wars." But it was so close to Star Tours that people were just like, well, just Star Tours. So, but yeah, rest in peace, Body Wars. Um, and it had an animatronic, as a lot of parks do. I remember my hot take on animatronics is there was an for Disney fans, this is a weird review, but this is what happens when you get people who are actually from Central Florida, from Orlando, and have been in the parks like, I don't know, way more times than we ever should be. For Disney, it's not even fair because when you work there, you get in free. So you can rack up. So instantly, the amount of times that you've been in a park goes up rapidly simply because you just show your employee ID and walk into the park. Um, so yeah, I've been to Disney just a ridiculous amount of times without ever having an annual pass. Uh, and the when before they had opened Disney MGM, there was one of them was called Disney MGM. There was this little room that was inside Magic Kingdom where they were like hyping the park, and in there was this owl that would talk to you. I remember that as a kid, and I remember when we used to go there as a kid, I used to have to stop off and see the owl. Like that was a thing. It wasn't a ride or an attraction, really. It was just more like a coming soon thing, but they made it cool enough that it had this little animatronic owl in there that was talking to you. And I wonder if somebody has him. He would be the weirdest thing. Like if I was stupid rich, if I was like Amazon rich, I'd be like, does anybody have that owl? Because I feel like I was the only one who appreciated him anyway. So uh I think I'm the only one that remembers he ever existed. So nobody else deserves him. I don't know. But I'm sure some animatronic guy worked on him, but that was years ago. This is before MGM opened, which was like early 90s. So um yeah, I still have these weird vivid memories of going in there multiple times to talk to the owl as a little kid. And so I get the fact that these guys, they love Disney, they want to break into the parks and see these areas that are closed off to them of things that used to be and see how they are now. There's but as the film admits, there are like people who are like on different levels. You know, there are the people who are just they're curious about, you know, what did it look like? What is this thing? You know, I think there's some people who just want to know what backstage looks like. If you've ever been a cast member, you know it's like it's nuts. Like I've never been. I conceptually, obviously I know people worked for Universal, so I've heard about their backstage and like how it works and how they can sort of get around. I found out there was sort of an underground to uh, the down City Walk, but I know the parks didn't have it. Um, so at least I don't know if Epic does or not. I should ask that. and maybe they built an underground for Epic. But yeah, Magic Kingdom has this whole underground thing. So inherently, if you know that, you're like, oh, can I get in the underground? Because it just seems cool to think about the fact that there's this entire thing underneath you when you're walking through the Magic Kingdom. Because there is. It doesn't feel like there is, because in Florida we don't have like a lot of basements because of flooding purposes. But they actually built Magic Kingdom up, and then they built the bottom floors how people travel around, and there's like that's where the cast eats. There's food down there and stuff. So a whole bunch of things. Um, and I used to watch these videos. I actually recognized the YouTuber Adam the Woo, who I don't think was interviewed for this. I didn't have audio description, doesn't have audio description, but I didn't. I think they just mentioned him because every time they mention Adam the Woo, it's always like in like a sort of like an existential, like, well, Adam, you know. Uh, he was one of the better ones. What I liked about his channel was the fact that he would go other places, and he didn't just do Disney. He didn't just do Universal. He had other parks and other places that had closed down. And there are a whole bunch of parks throughout the country where somebody tried to build like an attraction, like a little theme park, and then they closed it down. There's one that was like a themed to Oz, and I remember he had a video for that. So it was just interesting to see these places, and because you have memories and you're like, well, that thing used to be there, what happened to it, where'd it go? um so I honestly, and it just generates more. It does both, and I get why Disney doesn't like it, because it generates, they can't ever support it because then they would have more people doing it, which could cause a danger. They could end up harming an attraction like that's in progress if people are trying to actively get into still operating attractions, you know. And then you have people who could hurt themselves by getting into an area they're not supposed to, and then, you know, tripping and falling or something in an area that they were never supposed to get into. So it's never anything, but it's all about building continued curiosity towards the park and getting people to talk about. Uh it's all about, you know, increasing fandom in a weird way. It's just a different kind of fandom. But I think there is one where it draws the line, which is don't steal shit from the park. It's nice to go there and look and to see, but I draw the line where it's like steal shit from the park. And I didn't even realize they had auction legit stuff off until they bring up, I think there was a Disneyland auction or something of a whole bunch of old props and stuff that people were buying from. And that's where I was like, well, if I could buy the owl, that would be, they're not using it. It was meant for one purpose, and that purpose was like 35 years ago. He's been retired many times over. So if I was Bezos Rich, I would be like, and that's the owl from. uh, so, uh, but yeah, nobody needed to break in and steal Buzzy. Come on now, I mean, at the same time, it's weird because this is all part of Disney's history. This is all part of Imagineering. This is all part of this magic, right? That is the kingdom. And you go in there, and you get connected to these characters, and they create characters out of nowhere. Like Figment. Figment has a huge following for somebody who's never had his own movie or TV show. You know what I'm saying? He didn't come from anything except a ride. But like park fans love Figment. And anytime they try to take that ride down, they're met with like Disney's met with like protest. So it's amazing that they've never been able to make a Figment movie with all of the Pixar stuff. I'm like, how does he still not have his own movie? You know, the Dream, is it Dreamweaver? I'm more interested in Figment, honestly. I know that there's the guy that comes along with it. And I remember the ride when it had Robin Williams' voice attached to it. I think that was the remodel. Okay, I could be wrong, but I remember when it had Robin Williams' voice attached to it. But I always remember Figment and Epcot. But yeah, like why isn't Buzzy somewhere? Why isn't there like a museum for all of this old stuff? I mean, like I feel like that's a missed opportunity for people who just want to go and see like the yesteryear stuff. You know, they always sell like Vault Disney and all of these older uh, this old stuff to like the D23 crowd, the people who are really obsessed. I feel like somewhere on property, there's got to be room for a museum of the stuff that they've removed, and then they can sort of polish it up, and then all Buzzy has to do is stand there. But at least people can go in and be like, oh yeah, Cranium Command, I remember that. Oh yeah, that right, I remember that. Like they can just go through, and there's little blips and stuff from all of these things that used to be part of Disney that helped to its helped push its legacy forward. They can acknowledge the fact that they had 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea somehow. Missed opportunity, I think, on Disney's part. And I think it would, if they had that and they embraced it, and they actually had like official photos and videos up of these parks and rides in some place where people could go to them, like the Academy Museum does, where you can go and you can see like old props. Let's face it, that's why people went to Planet Hollywood. The food wasn't ever that amazing. They were hoping to see the props and stuff in there. I think that would quelch a lot of the urban exploring because everything would be right there. And then there would be nothing to steal because you'd be moving things to an actual exhibit, to an actual place on property that people could go to. It even could be something down at, Disney Springs where you can actually walk into and pay even more money to go see. When they were trying to remodel and figure out what to do with a lot of this stuff, I don't know why they didn't think of that. I used to go to Disney Quest all the time, but I understand nobody plays arcade games anymore. So when they needed to remodel that, why didn't Disney Quest become a Disney museum? You know, uh, I'm surprised it hasn't cut across their mind of, photos and posters and all this stuff and using it in a standard location where people can go see um, the all of the stuff of rides past. And then if it's in there, it's protected and nobody can steal it because it's an active thing where people are going in there and you have people who work that exhibit, you have security for that thing, everything. It just puts a lot to bed, and it actually encourages you to move things out of a space instead of just leaving things there to die, just to desecrate. So this documentary had me thinking a lot about various different things. As a documentary, it's fine. I mean, it does talk to a certain grouping of people and get their thoughts on why it is and what they do. I don't think it like reinvented the wheel. I'm not just, this is a pretty specific documentary for a specific group of fans who are already aware of what this is. And I think it's hitting home with my critics group because duh. Like, again, like it did with me. For the same reason I've seen Escape from Tomorrow. It was just like, well, of course I have, like, duh. So, um, yeah, I, I mean, I appreciate the documentary. I appreciate the need to get people in and to sort of tell the story and to bring the interesting thing of Buzzy to life. But I don't know that this necessarily stands out more. The odd thing is, I feel like this is the kind of documentary that gets bought by Hulu. Like, but would Disney ever show this? Like, would Disney ever put this on Hulu? I feel like this is one of those documentaries that ends up on Hulu. Like they had the documentary. I didn't review it with the Ruby Red Slippers. I can't review everything. I'm trying not to do like 500 reviews, especially now since I have to transpose things to Rotten Tomatoes. It's like I only have just so much time in my life. But yeah, I could see this being on Hulu and being an original documentary for them. But I don't know where else it would go. you know, it's either gonna get lost to the sands of time and just be like a random video on demand release and then end up somewhere. I don't I it's not giving you A24 vibes. It's not an A24 neon thing where it's gonna live on forever. It's a pretty straightforward documentary. But the people who are gonna watch this are the same people who have who have Disney Plus subscriptions. So the people who are interested in watching the urban exploring content in general, because it's focused so much on Disney, it doesn't go into urban exploring as as a national pastime nearly as much as it focuses specifically on doing it at Disney, and more specifically in Orlando, because that's where Cranium Command was. So it gets more and more narrow and more focused on Disney, and a very specific, and talking a lot about Orange County. And so um it's good. And I think if you know you're interested in stuff like this, again, if you're a fan of Disney stuff, then you're probably naturally attracted to this. If you collect things, if you go to the parks, if you're somebody who just gets excited when the Food and Wine Festival comes up and you just get to walk around, if you're somebody who remembers a whole bunch of rides and experiences that are closed, if you sit down and rank your favorite like fireworks shows and parades from all the ones that they retired and they've started like a new one. If you do anything like that, if you lament that something doesn't exist anymore and you're missing a favorite attraction all the time, then you find yourself on YouTube trying to find videos of those attractions, or find people who do the every once in a while you get lucky and you do the lights on, uh, where for some reason somebody got to do a ride with the lights on. I don't even understand that conceptually, but I did see um, Space Mountain lights on, which is so weird. It's so weird. Uh, so Disney tried to do this a little bit themselves, and I gave them crap for it, because they had the POV videos for their anniversary, for their Disneyland anniversary, and none of them are audio described. So even though some of them POVs of rides that have audio description at Disneyland, they didn't bother to describe any of the videos, which would help people be immersive in the experience. It's not every ride, so it's not like it doesn't like substitute for actually going to Disneyland. But there are a whole bunch of people who have like mobility issues, who really like going to the parks is out of out of the the plan for them. And with the way that VR headsets are now, to be in something like that, and if you're visually impaired and you need audio description, it just makes sense. Like, why did you not? It's literally like a no brainer. I would think like it's just a little thing, and it costs you like nothing, and then everybody gets to participate in the celebration and the anniversary of Disneyland, not just sighted people. So whatever. But uh, yeah, so Stolen Kingdom. I appreciate what they did. It's not in my top documentaries of the year. Could it be top Central Florida film of the year? I mean, possibly. I don't know what it's up against. I think I still have to, as of this recording, I don't know when I put out reviews. I'm usually like far ahead on reviews when I record them, and then I have to put out some more like quicker than others. I don't even know if this has a embargo or when to put it out, but at some point I'm going to put this review out. But I know that The Perfect Neighbor is also something that could be in contention. Haven't seen that as of this recording. Uh, but ever since our filming in Florida got, really cut down, like really stripped back, the idea of best Central Florida film is like trying to like pick between like, what's the best blockbuster left, and when there were like two or three in the country, like Blockbuster's almost dead, and you're like, well, let's rank the blockbusters. Okay. um well, number one is the one that's in Oregon, number two is the ones in Alaska. I don't know. I feel like it ends there. So uh I think both of those are gone now too. That's a dead reference. But um yeah, there just aren't a lot of Central Florida films that are not just straight up student films. Obviously, like if we started accepting or allowing submissions from students from, Full Sail and UCF and Valencia and some of these other programs, I'm sure we would we would have more films. I don't know that they would be on the same level as a film that actually comes out of Central Florida and is a full fledged full shot production for when they actually choose to use it. But I mean, they never shoot anything here. It was cheaper for Ben Affleck to rebuild uh, Ybor City from Tampa and rebuild it in Savannah and shoot Savannah and make it look like Ybor City in Georgia than it was to actually shoot in Ybor City. That film takes place basically in Tampa, if you're not familiar with what Ybor City is. And he rebuilt it in Savannah instead of actually shooting in Ybor City because it was cheaper. And when it's cheaper to build a town than it is to shoot in the town, there's a problem. So, yeah, Florida filming is just non-existent. But that's why everybody shoots in Georgia now. Stolen Kingdom. I'm gonna give it a 7.2 out of 10. I liked it. I'm not sure it has a ton to offer in terms of longevity. Like, I don't need to see this film again, but as far as a one-time watch, sure, I liked it. I think people will like this. I think it plays to a very specific audience, and that audience will love it. So there you go. If you've listened to my ramblings about Disney and you feel like Stolen Kingdom is for you, then check it out and learn more about Buzzy. So anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I will see you guys on the other side.